Happy Tuesday, everybody. Even though you're seeing this on Wednesday, this is Alyssa Jones, host of That Spinster Life podcast and host of New in Town, that YouTube series from last year's Mardi Gras season. I decided to get together with a dear friend of mine who is the guest chef for the live show, the live roundup show we did for New in Town last year, Chef Emily Johnson. She is amazing. We've made really great friends, and we decided to do this little thing together. This Lagniappe is just for you. I am going to get out of the way and let her do her thing. We're going to make a little sum for you who are that spinster life in it, sheltering in place, wondering what to do with some odds and ends maybe that you have laying around. If she's going to do it up New Orleans style, do the Cajun thing. Chef Emily, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. There we go. I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. It's great to see you.
Same here. I missed you so much.
I know. It's like, now we haven't actually seen each other in so long, but now that we can't, it's like, rah!
Gotta make what you can with what you got. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Also want to introduce a guest from the frozen tundra up north. My aunt Barbara Crawford is there. She's muted because she doesn't want to interrupt the flow, but she's right there. That's my second mom in that wonderful, fabulous house that's so cozy and warm. Give a thumbs up, Aunt Barbara, if y'all are doing okay up there. Awesome, wonderful. Now, Chef Emily, my Aunt Barbara, we like to tease her that she's the Black Martha Stewart. So she's gonna be all over this. Did you see her face? She was like, all over it. So get ready for, and now that she knows you, she'll be like, I need to check in with Chef Emily about my such and such. So we're gonna
please. I love what make my world go around.
You just made a new friend right there. She's gonna be your best friend.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you ready to take this away?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Take it away.
All right. Well, let's get to it. So anytime we've ever seen a Cajun Creole cooking show, more often than not, the chef likes to start it with, first, you make a roux. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to make a roux. All right. Let's see. How does this here camera thing work? Can I? Yes, I can. All right. So yesterday, I picked up groceries from LA Produce. We did a little drive-through, and they had a big bunch of box of produce, so I got that going on. But this is my little setup here. Ooh. Right, my mise en place. Mise en place means everything in its place. So in here, this is going to be our gumbo pot. And in here, we're going to start our roux. So I'm going to turn on my little gas stove. I'm going to go to my heat. What's that?
You just using that little pan for roux?
Oh, I'm only making a cup of each. So first and foremost, roux is equal parts fat and flour. Its purpose is to flavor and to thicken. It's one type of thickening agent in gumbo. Gumbo itself is based from a Western African dish. The word gumbo means okra, and okra is another type of thickening agent. So we're going to be thickening with okra today. We're also going to be thickening with a little bit of tomato puree. Now, a lot of Cajuns will boo-boo the fact that I put tomatoes in my gumbo. However, gumbo is all about what you have on hand. There is no standard recipe for gumbo. It is what you have on hand. As long as there is trinity, a stock, and a thickening agent of some sort, i.e. okra, or tomato, because tomato also thickens, it's a gumbo, all right? And tomato and an okra, that is just a flavor profile made in heaven. So I'm going to heat up my pan. I'm going to add in about a cup of oil. And this is a neutral high smoke point oil. This is peanut, just because that's what I had in my cabinet. But we're going to go for a very dark roux. Now, you can make roux with butter, but butter doesn't have that high smoke point that we need. It will burn after 350 degrees. And the only thing that you can do with a burnt roux is throw it out and start over. So we're going to use something with a higher smoke point because roux can get upwards of 500 degrees. All right, it's very, very hot. Sometimes it's called Cajun napalm because it will take the hide right off of you. So we're going to be very careful when we make our roux. Now, while I wait for that to get hot, I'm gonna double doozy, and I'm gonna start my gumbo base in this pot as well. And again, we're gonna let the pot get hot before I add anything to it. So my cast irons, all right, metal. Metal has pores, just like your face, all right, and heat expands. And so just like when you get a facial, the heat expands, the pores open up. And so when you allow that to happen, when you allow these pores to open up, the oil seeps into the pores and it makes a non-stick layer. All right, you ever tried to put a cold chicken cutlet in a cold skillet and try to turn it over later, it just sticks?
Yes.
That is because you did not allow the oil to get hot for it to make that non-stick layer. On a microscopic level, whatever it is that you're cooking, when you have heated it up properly, is not physically touching that metal. There's a non-stick layer between them. And so that's what we're gonna let happen. So, not quite hot yet. You really will be able to feel the heat radiating from the pot. You'll also see like little squigglies kind of start to happen. Let's see, back to the roux pot. Let's see if we are hot enough to start yet, because I see a lot of movement in there. Now, I have AP flour, all-purpose flour. To tell if your oil is hot enough to start with, and this goes for if you're making roux, if you're pan frying, if you're deep frying, right? If you put a little pinch in the pan and it scatters, so you kind of just like settle it and like scatter, we're looking for a lot of scatter. When that happens, then we know that we're hot enough, but we're not quite there yet. So we're gonna let that go a little bit longer. Meanwhile, y'all see the shimmer and shining happening, right?
Yeah.
All right, this spot is hot enough. So I'm gonna start by first sauteing my Trinity with my okra. So Trinity, 2 parts onion, 1 part celery, 1 part bell pepper. It comes from the French mirepoix, but instead of bell peppers, the French use carrots. However, when the French got here, they discovered that we don't grow carrots very well. The little guys would rot before they had a chance to mature. And it wasn't until the Spanish came in and brought us their bell peppers, which is not a spicy vegetable at all, but really rather sweet, that it added that sweetness back into the trio. So, and as you can see, I have divided this up into 3 parts, and here's why. We're going to deeply brown this with the okra first. Get it nice and mushy. I'm talking like French onion soup brown, right? And then when that happens, then I'll add in this last third. And that's to give us texture, to give us different types of flavors, all right? So into the pot we go. And our okra.
That's the only way I like okra, is in the gumbo or fried beyond recognition. Looks so good already.
So we're gonna give that a good stir. And just let it settle, let it do its thing. Meanwhile, aha, you see that dancing?
So cool.
All right, here, hot enough to start.
Yeah.
So again, equal parts fat and flour. So I have a cup of oil in here. I have a cup of AP flour that I'm gonna dust in. And then I'm gonna start whisking to get all the clumps out, and I'm not gonna stop. All right, when you start making a roux, you start stirring, you do not stop stirring, all right? Your phone rings, if it's important, it'll go to voicemail. All right, the doorbell knocks, guess what? Self-quarantine, social distancing, it's just the Amazon guy dropping off your packet. The packet will be just fine. So I'm leaving this alone. What's happening in this pot, right? You're gonna start seeing a lot of steam coming out of there. That's the water evaporating. As the water evaporates, the protein structures and the sugar structures start to break down and they start browning. They start caramelizing. And brown is the color of flavor. Now this caramelization process, this is called the Maillard reaction. All right, and you want that deep browning, that deep flavor. That is what makes Cajun and Creole food so splendid, so wonderful, is this browning that we allow to happen, and then we layer it on top of each other. All right, we don't literally throw everything in the pot in one go. We're gonna throw this in here and let that go. Then we're gonna throw this in here and let that go. And it's just gonna layer and layer and layer that flavor. This guy, we're gonna let go a lot longer. So when we first added it together, there was a lot of thickening power there, but not a whole lot of flavor. The longer you cook Roux, the more flavor it's going to envelop, but the less thickening power it's going to have for two reasons. One, even though we are cooking flour and fat, this is considered a dry heat method of cooking. The same thing that happens when you put raw bread dough in the oven is what's happening in your pan. You are toasting the flour. So the longer you toast the flour, the more flavor it's going to have. Oh, wow. However, the longer you cook it, the gluten structures start to break down, and so it starts to lose some of its thickening power.
You can see it changing color already, like even with the camera.
Right. Now, we don't have smell-o-vision, unfortunately, but if you did, right at this point, you're going to start smelling those toasty aromas, and you're going to start seeing it really froth up and start to get the first few shades of this very technical stage I call Skippy peanut butter. All right, and this is your blonde Roux stage. So this stage right here, this is a good Roux that you can make with butter because we're not quite at 350 yet. Excuse me. This is a good Roux to make for sausage gravies for biscuits or cream gravies that you're gonna add cheese to later and put in your mac and cheese. I.e., I have a recipe for that on my blog that we can link to.
Yes, the Cast Iron Chef. Check it out, y'all.
Okay. Now I'm gonna give this guy a little stir, kind of move everything around. Now I used frozen okra because I had that on hand. It is not okra season. Okra season is late summer, but that's okay. You can very much use cut up okra. I got this at the Winn-Dixie in the frozen section. Now, a word on okra. A lot of people claim that they don't like okra, and it's because it has this weird slimy texture when you first start to cook it. I don't know if you can see. You see that slime? The longer you cook it, however, that slime will cook out. In fact, down here, we just call it sliming the okra. You just have to saute it a long time. It's gonna get nice and brown. The slime is gonna dissipate, and that is the thickening agent right there. So again, we're just gonna let that go, let that brown. Back to you.
Looks so gorgeous.
Right here. Now, Cajuns, we like to play with that line between burnt and acrid. All right, those hard notes. Acrid is not burnt. But if you're not used to it, if you're not used to moles or really charred, deep flavors, grilled flavors, you might not like this at first. Or you may think you might not like it at first. It's like hearing a song for the first time on the radio, not being too sure about it, but the more you hear it, the more you come to love it. That's what's going on. All right. Right now, we're starting to reach those skippy peanut butter colors, and we're reaching those acrid notes. Right here, right whenever you get to that same color as peanut butter, sometimes we'll call this the red Roux. This is the color that we go when we're making stew type dishes or étouffées. Étouffée means to smother. So this is a good étouffée Roux. I have weird blue lights on my hood vent, so that's coming up a lot cooler in color than it actually is. But for those of you at home, it is an actual peanut butter color right now.
Yeah, I mean, at least we can actually see the color changing. Like even if the colors aren't exactly what you're seeing,
right.
We're watching it develop, and it's, well, I mean, I think it's gorgeous. I don't know if anybody else is like, hey, beautiful. I mean, I don't know.
Listen,
that's why we're friends.
The more you come to appreciate these colors and like how the texture is. I love cooking. So I currently work at the New Orleans School of Cooking in the French Quarter, and I love getting guests who have never made a Roux before. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Yes, I never get tired of making roux. I never get tired of teaching people how to make roux. It is just a nostalgia that is connected to my childhood, watching my mom, watching my dad, watching my grandmother make this.
So great. Now, I love that it's faster than what, you know, because you have some people say you're sitting there for hours with it, and then here you are whipping it up really fast. So it really is kind of how you were brought up, or it's, you know, there are 1,000 ways to do this. Yeah.
There are 1,000 recipes. You can very much take your time with this. In fact, we did every once in a while, my mom or my dad would make a roux, but it was very, very rare. They were both kind of afraid of it, so they actually would buy jarred roux. So we didn't make it a whole lot in the house, but I do remember my grandmother making it a few times. I remember like watching my godmother. Every once in a while, mama or daddy would make it, but I didn't start making a lot of roux until I got into culinary school and then got in the real world. And you know what? When you're a chef, you ain't got time to sit there for 3 hours and stir a pot and make roux. You got to do this in 5 minutes because you got 15 other things you got to do before service.
Right.
And I am not a patient woman.
No, well.
But you can see this color is changing exponentially, right? It is way past 350 degrees. It's going up and up and up.
It's changing so fast at this point, too.
Mm-hmm. It is. And
how is that jarred stuff? What'd you say? Sorry. Oop, we froze. We might need to take a pause and reset here, reset the connection. Pause the recording here. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So during the station break, when our picture froze, my aunt went and got her, because you know you got to have something to drink while you're cooking. She's sitting there.
Right.
Look at. If I didn't have to sing a church service later tonight, I would totally have something in my hand too.
All right, well, do you want to know what happened with my phone?
What happened? Don't tell me you dropped it in there.
I was literally about to explain how hot the roux was, and my phone decided to shut everything off, and it was like, your iPhone is too hot. It must turn down before we can continue. So I had it over the roux pot for too long, and it freaked out. I was like, it's very hot. Yes, it's very hot. But anyway, look at that milk chocolate color.
That's so great. I'm gonna unmute Aunt Barbara so that she can, because I see she like wants to. Aunt Barbara, unmute so you can. Go ahead, because I know you want to say something. Look at that.
No, it's beautiful.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Thank you.
Oh my God.
And see, I turned off the fire, but because it is so hot, it's still smoking. You have to continue to stir it after the fact too. Otherwise, that flour will stick to the bottom and it will still burn. So you're gonna keep on stirring it, because when you stir, you incorporate air and you cool it down.
Right.
You're gonna keep on stirring it until most of that smoke, dissipates. Okay, so I'm gonna go right here. So we're starting to see a lot of browning happening, yeah. So we still have some slime here. So again, just gonna let that continue to go. If I start seeing a little too much thicket, I might hit it with a little bit of stock just to bring it up and to make sure I don't burn anything. But this first step does take a little bit of time, but that's okay, because we're investing, right? We're making building blocks.
Right. And we ain't going nowhere, so.
Hey, we ain't going nowhere. We got a quarantine. Where you going? Nowhere.
Nowhere. I'm gonna stand in front of this pot and slime these okras. That's what I'm gonna do.
Just slime it, right? Because now you got all the time in the world.
Right.
A 30-minute meal here. I'm gonna get some stock ready because I already know I'm gonna have to use that.
Is that just chicken stock?
So again, this is roasted pork neck and turkey neck. So I got a lot of rich flavor up in here. Another thing, I like to watch my money. And you know what's really inexpensive? Pork and turkey necks. And it makes this lovely, rich stock. You see that? Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. But you can use other kind of stock. You can make vegetable stock. In fact, I have vegetable stock here. You see the difference? This is turkey and pork, and that's just vegetable scraps.
Actually, I started doing that from you when you said, don't trash your scraps, put them up, and then at the end of the week, go ahead and boil them down into stock.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been doing that
because
I don't have a composter. It's a good
you cut your vegetables. You got onion skins, celery bottoms, tops of peppers, whatever. Throw them in a Ziploc bag, put them in your freezer, and just let them build up. And then one day when you have your gallon Ziploc bag full, put it in a big pot, cover it with some cold water, bring it up to a boil, drop it down to a simmer for 45 minutes. Boom, you got vegetable scrap stock. All right, you used all your money's worth. Nothing went to waste.
See? I know, right? Isn't she great?
I don't want to
thank you.
on the session, but that's amazing because we fill up our compost container.
Yeah.
All of those wonderful things. The best part of cooking for me is seeing all of those raw ingredients assembled on the counter. And then watching what happens in the process. And I have to remember to use those things to create the stock. That's amazing.
Isn't it great?
Yeah. Great tip.
I have excess of vegetable stock right now and vegetable scraps because during this whole quarantine process, our local compost people had to stop collecting. So
right.
I feel like I'm sinning every time we throw away a banana peel.
Right.
But do what you got to do.
Yeah. So, Chef, is this a good time for me to make a shameless plug for your spices is nices?
Oh, my spices is nicest?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, do that. Yeah.
I know you're going to do it, but I want to show people the evolution of the brand because I've been a believer for a long time, you see? So once upon a time, I met Chef Emily at the kickboxing. And I stopped going to the kickboxing, but I stayed friends with her. And one of the results of our friendship is the fact that I bought 6 of these little tiny mason jars of her special salt spice blend. Now, so I was raised on Lawry's, like that's what I was raised on. And then when I got to the East Coast, we added Old Bay into the mix. So as far as I'm concerned, that was the whole world for me. People tried to tell me about some adobo. I'm like, that's not strong enough. Like, thank you very much, New England, but I'm not trying to get down with that. I love you, but I can't do that. I need the Lawry's and I need the Old Bay. And then I get down here and I've got my Lawry's and I go to the, grocery store and I see the different kinds and I'm like, oh, what a novelty. Let me get some local stuff. And I'm loving it, the Chacherays and stuff. It's great. And then I met this woman and she's like, I make my own. You can have a bunch. This is how I first obtained set. I'm surprised I even still have this because I use it so much. But this is this, right? So she's gone from this to this, which I got for the holidays. I literally laid in a stock of these. So anytime I give a gift, especially someone who is, you know, kind of a New Orleans of, you know, infatuated, and they're like, oh, I love the food, I'll slip one of these into like a little gift basket or something like that. But she's got chicky boom boom, fishes and dishes, French fry till I die for the veggie things, it beef that way sometimes, and swine and dine. Those are the ones that I have. And I'm missing one. What am I missing?
Kind of big deal.
Kind of big deal. I think I gave away all of those. I have my original, but I gave away all my packets. So these are 2-ounce packets. You can get them on the Cast Iron Chef. Is it .com, chef?
.biz.
.biz. castironchef.biz. Occasionally there, you know, will be a bundle special, but you don't even want to wait for that because they're fabulous. And then I see that she's got the larger containers at her. Do you sell the larger version, chef?
Not yet. This is more just for my own home use because, you know, just I bought cheese. Right. I bought cheese sprinklers at my local restaurant supply store. But these are my new labels that go on those packets that you were holding earlier. So I upgraded again. This is what the little label looks like now.
That's so great. So the castironchef.biz is Chef Emily's blog, and we were talking about it when you were, you know, kind of putting it together, chef. And I remember, you know, you're like really kind of thinking about the format, and I know I appreciated a whole bunch the fact that she starts with the recipe, and then you can read about all of the history of the recipe and why she did it. But I'm that person. I am not patient. Like, I will read your story after I've, you know, looked at and started the recipe while it's cooking or whatever. But the first thing I want is the recipe.
Right. As most people, I do.
So that's why she does it that way. For those of us with a short attention span or who are impatient, and it's fantastic. There are things on there, and it ranges from the like truly sinful, you know, butter-filled, decadent, Gulf Coast, Cajun, Creole, whatnots, to some super healthy things, right? So it's a range. So, you know, yeah. So I love it. And, you know, I consider us partners in crime here, this 1-2 punch of music and food. So please check that out and buy those spices, because you cannot go wrong. And all of them go on everything, despite what their titles. But, you know, they definitely, first time you try them on the thing that they're named for first. That's what I would suggest as a user. I shouldn't have said it like that, but
that's what you want.
Yeah, I know. That was really
an extra packet for you, because you're gonna come back.
Gosh. What'd you say?
I said if you're a first time buyer, I'll probably throw in an extra packet for you, because, you know, you're going to come back for more.
Or maybe people who watch this should get a special, maybe we should flash a special code at the end so that they get a special.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I know the way for me to do it on my blog. I'm still trying to decipher the whole WordPress thing, but I know there's a way that I can do promo codes. All right. I'll come up with a good one. And if you see this video, like it, you share it, you comment, all that good stuff, promo code, you get something off.
Perfect.
Yes. Woohoo.
Happy fingers.
This is the silent cheer for our folks who are watching this, who are deaf or hard of hearing, that committed to that community. So whenever you see me go like this, it's me, you know, that's that silent cheer thing. Yes. It's not spirit fingers or jazz hands. Some of my musical theater people are like, why are you always doing jazz hands? I'm like, I'm not. It's not jazz hands. I love that it looks like that, but it's not. Everyone knows my hands don't jazz. My voice jazzes, not my hands.
But the hands not so much?
Not the hands so much, no. All right, where are you in this process?
Okay, let's see. Do the camera thing.
She's saying stew.
Just a little bit to the food because it makes it taste that much better. But you can see, look, already like how much it's cooked down. Like we started with like it was almost right here, right? Full of veg. It's cooked down.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not seeing any more slime coming out of my okra either. We got some nice depth of flavor going on. I want this to get just a little bit more sticky though. I want a little bit more brown at the bottom. So in classical French, you see all that brown?
Mm-hmm.
That is called fond, F-O-N-D, fond, all right? That's that browning, that flavor we were talking about earlier. Now, Cajuns, we do come from France, but before that, about 60 years prior to the landing of Plymouth Rock, we landed in present-day Nova Scotia, Canada, all right? And it was a long way from France to Nova Scotia, and there was another long way down from Nova Scotia to South Louisiana. And so the language got a little messed up, all right? The language got a little funny. So it went from being fond in Paris to grimis or gratons. And that's what at the bottom of that pan is right there. Them grimis, them gratons, that flavor, that base. So now I'm gonna start adding onto that base flavor. I'm gonna start adding in my spices, salt, I'm gonna add in garlic. I'm even gonna add in some ginger too, all right? This pot is very, very hot, but there's still some moisture in here. And when you throw in dried herbs, dried spices, they rehydrate and they blossom and they bloom in their flavor. So, by the way, I'm showing y'all the basic technique of gumbo today, but specifically my flavor profile, we're doing a curry gumbo. So, I got some ginger, I got some garlic, I got 2 bay leaves, about a tablespoon each of the ginger and garlic, throw that in there. I'm also gonna throw in this last bit of Trinity. So basically, each one of these little guys is about 2 cups. So I did about 6 cups worth of chopped Trinity. So that is about 3 cups of chopped onion, a cup and a half each of chopped bell pepper and celery. I'm gonna use some of my swine and dine, which has a curry flavor base. I'm gonna put a lot in there. I'm also gonna put some chicken boom boom, because you know what? There's some other curry influences in that chicken boom boom, and it's gonna add a little boom boom to this. Oh my God, look at how much seasoning I put. Listen, hold up, my face. You need to see my face right now. Listen, Cajuns and Creoles. We are known for being spicy, and a lot of people want to associate that with heat. That's not the case. Spicy is plural. It is complexity. There is a lot going on. The Spanish were major colonizers. They brought in a lot of spices from the East, including cinnamon, cumin, paprika, all kind of other flavors, the different peppercorns and dried herbs. And so it's complexity. Spicy is complex, not heat. We will add heat, but we're trying to have a party in your mouth, not burn it.
Hey now.
Hey, that's later.
I like that.
Now we're gonna add salt. Now, turn this around. A lot of people are afraid of salt. On its own, it's very intrusive, but it is a mineral, and its purpose is to flavor and enhance. All right? Caramel latte tastes great, but what tastes better than a caramel latte?
Salted caramel latte.
Yes, ma'am. It goes from tasting like caramel to caramel. It enhances. All right? And that's what we're doing. We're going to enhance the flavors with salt. Now, I have my crushed up tomatoes here. I'm going to throw that in there as well. And all this time, I'm at a high, I don't know if you can see that, I'm at a high heat. All right, we are constantly building flavors, and every time we build our flavor, every time we add in a new ingredient, it drops the heat low for us. But then it comes right back up. So I'm gonna let that saute a little bit, kind of come together, and then I'm gonna start adding in more stock to it. Does your auntie have any questions for me?
Let's take a look.
No.
No.
No question. No. If you could see my face, I'm just enthralled and fascinated by this process.
We'll leave it on your face for a little while. I had it close up
my
on the
God,
cooking, but now doesn't it look so great?
It does. It's amazingly good.
I can already tell.
I was going to try to do this along, but now I'm like, no. And
this is
like, no, I'm not. I just need to watch.
This is Mo Better.
Yeah, it is Mo Better.
Mo Better to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm afraid of high heat.
Really? I didn't know that.
I am. If it says high heat, and I always fear that I burned what I'm cooking when I get that. What did you call it?
The fond.
The fond.
Right, the grease.
It's like, oh, I've scorched it. I've burned it. It's not going to be good. And I don't believe it when people say, oh, you need this. You need this in the bottom of the pan. It's like, no, I don't need that.
How much do I love that you're taking notes right now? I totally was like teasing you on camera for taking notes. I love that you're doing that.
I'm taking notes.
She's sitting there, right? She's got the notes. This woman, I love her so much. It's awesome.
And another fear, and I don't know how others feel who say they hate okra, is that it still looked as if it had texture when you were stirring and browning it and getting rid of the slime. I always will fear when I cook with okra and it still feels slimy and mushy in my mouth.
Right.
So, but
and it's just the longer you cook it, the more it's gonna go away.
That's amazing. That looks so good.
I can attest to that, Aunt Barbara, because you know me. I hate the okra so much.
Yeah.
And the only time when do I eat it? When we get it fried from Harold's.
Right.
That's really the only time. And McCarty's has it here. McCarty's Chicken Fixin'. I found the fried okra here. I was very excited. But then also in the gumbo, because every good gumbo I've had, there's okra in it, but it's like Chef says, it's cooked down to the point where, it's just part of the flavor profile, and it's part of the texture, but it's not like in a slimy nasty
state.
Because Gran would just steam that stuff and put it in a bowl and make us try to eat it. Remember? Like we get a side of steamed okra or sauteed okra and it was all slimy in that bowl.
No, I have to say that if I prepare okra, it's basically raw. I like it. It feels fried to me. I steam it. It's still crisp. I season it, but there's no slime. I can still bite it and feel texture.
But it's also fuzzy though. Like it's fuzzy and slimy. It's like fuzzy on the outside and slimy on the middle. Like you need to fry it to death or boil it to death or saute it to death. It just needs to die before you eat it.
All right. Sorry. Next, when I come down to
strong feelings.
Yeah, I get that.
That's quite accurate. We gotta kill it again because
Thank you.
It's fuzzy on the outside. It's slimy on the inside. I got some weird like little pods, seed things.
That's right.
It's like alien vegetables. Like when the aliens came, they left that behind.
Yeah.
They're like, have this. Oh, sorry.
Do you offer cooking classes there?
Yeah, that's kind of the whole premise of the New Orleans School of Cooking is getting guests in from all over the world and showing them the real deal, how to make jambalaya, étouffées, gumbos, and not watering it down at all. Literally, just use stock. Yeah. But, not trying to water down our culture, not trying to water down the recipes or anything like that. This is it.
The real deal.
And Barbara, when we're all free to move about the cabin again, we'll go take a class with Chef Emily at her cooking school at New Orleans School of Cooking.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have a trip down and go to a cooking school.
Yeah.
Classes. You're going to make me drag out my iron skillets.
Listen.
I've got a tiny one, and I'm thinking, oh, that would be, it's not tiny, but it's about that size for the roux. But this pot is fascinating me.
I have two. I got this enamel one. I got them because I moved here. It was my first present to myself. This enamel one on the stove behind me. And then I got one like yours that you're cooking in, Chef, underneath on the cabinet. I didn't feel like dragging that one out. It's too heavy.
Does it
Well,
have
it's
right
okay.
now?
I'll show you mine. So this is my collection
Mm-hmm.
so far.
Oh, look at that.
So beautiful.
I do believe 2 of them are from my great-great-grandmother.
Wow.
So they've been used and seasoned.
That's so great.
I'm actually going to grab a lid for this bad boy. I need him to come up to a boil so that I can properly incorporate the roux. Because if you'll remember, that roux is mostly oil, and that gumbo is mostly water. And oil and water don't like each other. And the only way that the two are going to come together is if they emulsify. And that's not going to happen unless we get the water molecules moving extremely fast in our gumbo.
Okay.
So, lid on pot to make the heat come up faster. Oh, look at that roux. Look at it.
Look at that, right?
Look. Mm-hmm.
So good.
And it continued to turn in its color even as it was sitting there because it was still that hot.
When we did New in Town, Steve toured me on the roux, and I had to make it for the last episode. I called it Alyssa Chocolate. Needs to get to Alyssa Chocolate, then it's ready.
You can make that joke. I cannot.
No, you can't. But you can make it with me, though. I'm glad that you're laughing at that. Alyssa Chocolate roux. So while that's happening, while Chef is doing the things that she's chefing, just want to remind folks that, just like with the vegetable stock, you can freeze things ahead of time. Now that I live down here, I'm constantly putting freezing Trinity into the freezer, except this is just onions and peppers because I was kind of taught not to put the celery in the freezer, but Chef told me before we started that that's actually okay. So I can just put the raw celery. So I just chopped myself a bunch of celery. I'm going to eat this piece, but I've just chopped myself a bunch, and I'm going to, that's not good celery. Oh no. Oh. Sometimes you go to the grocery store, you don't get the good, it doesn't taste good. Anyway, I'll have to get other celery, but really not good. But I'll freeze it and then try to do this at another point, maybe before the next episode, or maybe not. I don't know. I was trying to say I was going to do it tonight, but that ain't happening. I'm watching you work magic there, Chef, and I'm like, nope. I'm still probably just going to have a sandwich, but
nothing like a good sandwich. Let me tell you.
Listen, I wish I could just come over there and get a bowl, but we got to remain separate.
I will be sure to save a bowl just for you though, for whenever this comes to a head and we don't have to be holed up in our houses no more. Yes,
I would appreciate that. All right, we're gonna go back to the taking a look at this process here.
Right. Well, it's still not quite at the boil that I need it to. It's still barely simmering, but I am going to start tasting it. All right. It's a lovely soup right now, but it is not a true gumbo as we haven't added our dark roux to it yet, but it's a nice soup, and I'm going to try where it's at. It has a lot of good flavor, but we're not quite at that curry level yet. So I'm gonna dig through my cabinet and see what I got. I got a lot. Okay.
A lot of good stuff in there.
So I got some allspice. Probably add that. I'm gonna have to go to the big boy section. Actually, look, all my spices. Okay, what do I want? Oh, I want cinnamon.
Oh, really?
I want cinnamon. Yep.
All right.
Cinnamon. Ooh, and cumin. Hello.
Man, you're just grabbing stuff.
Yes.
Look at your enormous tubs of. I can't.
Oh yeah, right. I made big batches, big boys, and I gotta sell. Okay. Let's see. Definitely gonna add some more cumin to this.
Oh, it's a brand new one, huh? Got to break that open. Well, so while you're doing that, just wanting to remind everybody that this is the Cast Iron Chef, thecastironchef.biz. Also, the Cast Iron Chef on Facebook, Cast Iron Chef on Instagram. We are partnering. I am here representing That Spinster Life. That Spinster Life podcast on Instagram, That Spinster Life on Facebook. This is a little bit of a crossover episode. My podcast airs on every Tuesday. We talk about taking a leap of faith, and one of the beautiful byproducts of the leap of faith that I took moving from Boston to New Orleans is that I got to meet this really great chef, Chef Emily, who has been so wonderful in terms of just being a good friend, but also being just willing to jump in and do any kind of cool project that's coming around. So please check her out. Please check out her spice line. It's a seasoned salt spice line. It's got something for everything. Buy the bundle, use them all. And when you're down here, please visit the New Orleans School of Cooking, where she has classes once we're all free to move about the cabin again. And in between time, check out her blog. She's a recipes first blogger. I had to pause there because I still just love it so much. Recipes first.
But read the
and then you can read the story. Right. Read the thing later when the thing's in the oven. That's what I like to do when the pot is simmering. Yeah. Now I'm going to read it. But first, let me get the. Yeah.
And get yourself a little reading on, because you got to wait for this to come up anyway. So.
Exactly. So that's what we're doing. Shout out to my aunt Barbara Crawford up there in Chicago, taking notes. Now I know where I said, "Oh hey," you see behind me, I pulled out some things. I was like, "I'm gonna make it along with, and then I'm gonna do cut-ins and stuff." I'm not doing any such thing because this is fine by itself. And I just discovered that my celery is nasty, so I can't use it anyway. Who wants to use nasty celery? But my aunt there, she's sitting there taking notes. I know this woman. She's going to be making some fantastic gumbo. What did you just pull up on the phone? What'd you pull up? You're talking. Let me unmute you. Unmute yourself.
I can sense the sass coming off of it, and I'm so enjoying it.
Oh, look at that.
Wow. What did you pull up on your phone?
Amazing. The vegan gumbo.
Yeah.
The Cast Iron Chef.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I found a new friend because I've got a vegetarian in the house, but I'm going to make my own gumbo. This is lovely.
Right. I put turkey stock in this, but like I said, you can use vegetable stock because you know what? I'm putting mustard greens in this anyway. Ain't no meat in here.
I saw those mustard, that bag sitting on the counter. I was wondering if that was going into the pot.
Right, but not
good.
Just yet. Now we have this aggressive simmer. Now we're at a boil. We're gonna start adding in our roux. So, I'll shut this up right here. mix everything together. I'm gonna start streaming it in.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Magic.
Again, someone needs to invent smell-o-vision, because there's just something about the way a roux smells when it becomes incorporated into a stew.
Mm.
Now,
So good.
I talk all this mess about how wonderful roux is. Da, 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 da. Listen, on its own, it tastes disgusting. It's disgusting. It is still just cooked flour and oil. All right, its magic, its flavor doesn't come up until it melds with whatever it is you're adding it to. So we're gonna let it boil and come together and meld in its flavor, and then everything becomes magic after that.
Mm. I gotta practice.
Same here.
Gotta practice. I don't know.
I'm not there yet.
Man, I haven't made any gumbo since the show last year, so I know I'm beyond rusty. I only made it one time.
No, I mean, that's the beauty of gumbo, is just the more you make it, the better you do get at it. So, and it's already good to start with. But can you see how thick it really became and that color?
Yeah.
That came off of it?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Now, I'm gonna add in my mustard greens. Now, let's add some more fun stuff.
Yay.
I like putting soy sauce, garlic sauce, and green Tabasco in almost all of the dishes that I make. I kind of have a tell, but I'm gonna add a little bit of soy sauce in here. Add a little more color, a little more umami. You can get this at your local Asian market. Of course, everybody is familiar with tikkaman, but I like that good Korean style. Bloop, 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 bloop. Garlic sauce. If you like sriracha, if you like gochujang, basically fermented garlic and chilies, Cajun Power garlic sauce is the Cajun version of that. All right. Again, a lot of good umami. Yes, hot, spicy, but not as hot spicy as your everyday hot sauce. Again, it's more umami, it's more flavor. So another little bloop bloop.
Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
And last but not least, hello, stand. Okay. Green Tabasco is probably my favorite Tabasco. And I do like a little heat.
What do you like about green? A lot of heat. What do you like about green?
Sauce, the green pepper sauce is going to be more jalapeno than it is the Tabasco cayenne pepper.
Gotcha.
So just slightly different. But I can't describe it other than it just tastes green. But it still has that heat that I want. And a dash more salt and be good. It's pretty much done. Now, with that said, gumbo, the longer you cook it, the better it does taste. It's like a good red sauce. The longer you make it, it even blooms more if you let it hold in the refrigerator overnight. But at this point, this is whenever you would just put it on a simmer, put it on the back of your stove, leave it, forget it. I mean, stir it every once in a while, but really a good hour and a half at the least, until like forever. And you're going to be amazing. But I mean, already look at that.
So beautiful.
But that's it. That is gumbo technique, right? Recipes are great. Their ratios, their guidelines, their basic rules for you to follow. But with one recipe, you make one dish. With one technique, you can make 1,000 recipes. You can make 1,000 dishes.
Yes.
And so we made a curry gumbo, but we used the gumbo technique, and this is that.
Beautiful. And Barbara, did you have a question?
I have a question about adding the mustard greens. If I'm adding that to the dish, would I cook it for that hour and a half or forever, and then add that in maybe 30 minutes before I was going to serve it or something, so I don't cook the greens to death or whatever? So it's like slime.
Beautiful, beautiful question. Okay, so I do call this the 30-minute rule. Let's say you are making a chicken and sausage gumbo and you already had cooked chicken. If you put the chicken in too soon, by the time you get to it hours later, it's dry and it's stringy. Same with raw seafood. If you're making a seafood gumbo, you wouldn't want to put it early on, because the longer it cooks, then it becomes rubbery. Greens, they'll cook down. A cooked down green is a great green, but sometimes it can overcook and become bitter. I know some people who make gumbo zeb, so gumbo Z''Herbes of herbs, the green gumbo. They'll take half of their greens and they'll blitz it, and they'll cook that down first, and then towards the end they'll throw the last handful in, so that we still have a lot of that good greenage going on. So yeah, that 30-minute window, that's when you want to put in cooked chicken, raw seafood, or that last good handful of greens that you still want to be vibrant and green. So.
Right.
Great.
Now, could you do what you've done ahead without the without the feature, the 30-minute rule feature, and then like put it up and then drag it out and say, hey, let me reheat this and then throw my stuff? Or is it because the roux in there, that means don't do that?
You could do it that way. Or again, like if you know that like you're making it for a party or something and you wanted to make your gumbo the day before. Yeah. Again, just like the last thing that you would do, you could throw in that chicken and just kill the heat, let it cool down. Because whenever you bring it back up to temperature and like you just put on that very like little low simmer, whatever, it'll be fine. The point though is that you don't want to cook it for a long time, like that medium heat. That low kind of holding, that'll be fine. It's not gonna, it may, but if you do it for hours and hours and hours at a party, by the time that you get to it hours and hours and hours later, you're probably drunk, so you don't really know.
You don't care.
Right. It's everything tastes good at that point.
Another question. Can I make up, I could make up a batch of broth and just throw it in the freezer, right? Or no?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
you
the
can have
beauty
your
about stocks and broths at home is what went in it. There's no extra preservatives or salt, and it freezes very well. So yeah, by all means, make your stock ahead of time, put in little containers or in gallon freezer bags, and freeze it and have it on hand.
Yeah. Listen, I could totally see my aunt doing this. making roux ahead of time, because the vegetable oil roux, that'll keep in the fridge for quite a bit of time. So you don't have to, right? So make like that up. Yeah. And
3 months, did you say?
Right.
Yeah, if you make roux at a time, you could keep that in your fridge for a good 3 months, because it's just fat and flour.
Yeah.
Especially in oil roux.
Right. So, and Barbara, you could make a jar of your own roux and stick it in that fridge down in that basement, and then make a pot of the other, like with the vegetables and the stock and everything, freeze that, put that. And then the next thing, if you want to make your gumbo, you've pre-made it, take the roux out, pull down a bag of that stuff, throw it together, put on your things and put your food things and give it to the people to eat. That's what you can do.
I'm loving this.
Yeah, that's what she's going to do. Me, I'm going to mess up my entire kitchen making one batch that's too much for me, and then try to figure out what to do with the rest. That's because I'm not practical.
Well, that's when you call me, and then I'm like, oh, well, Alyssa, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this.
Yes.
You know what? Don't do that. I'll come over. I'll come over.
Yes. That's what I would be hoping for. Like, why don't you just can you just come? So yeah, this is cool.
It is.
Thanks, Chef.
Thanks, Chef.
It was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you. Because I didn't have anything else going on this afternoon because, quarantine.
Right. So, everybody, please join us for the next edition of whatever this is. We're calling it Lagniappe.
Please, Lagniappe.
Lagniappe.
Quarantine with cast iron. I don't know.
Something, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's wave goodbye to the folks, and then we'll see you next time. Bye.
Stay safe, guys.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.